Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do this tarot reading. This was requested by a subscriber of mine, someone that I do appreciate very much, and she was interested in knowing, how, these two groups, BTS and Blackpink, how what is their dynamic like, if there's some connections, even if it's like professional or friendship, or how are their vibes towards each other. And I wanted to do this since I'm using a new microphone, so it's wireless. So I'm trying to use it to see how it sounds. So you guys, let me know, please, if if you can hear it correctly, if you can hear my voice correctly. I do appreciate it very much. But yeah, let's begin with this tarot reading. To see, how the two groups, in a very general way, how do they feel, or their perception of each other, and if there's like a strong connection, or an association. Let's see what the tarot has to say about this. So let's begin. I placed BTS on the left and Blackpink on the right. So yeah, let's begin. From BTS part, we have the cards of the Four of Pentacles, the Hangman, and the Justice in reverse. Then from Blackpink's part, we have the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Three of Pentacles, and the Five of Cups. Then, their connection, and also, energies for the future, for the near future. We have the card of the Judgment, that the keyword is awakening. And then I have another card that I pulled from another deck, and this card is the Six of Cups. And it has a phrase in Spanish that it is a phrase that reflects that we shouldn't romanticize the past. That sometimes the past wasn't better than what we have now. Sometimes when we think about the past, we tend to romanticize certain interactions or certain things that happened, thinking that the past was better. And actually, sometimes it's not the case. So, it's an advice to not romanticize, what it was in the past. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting, this reading, because it feels very um I think that it probably has to do because of the importance of both groups, but it feels very like formal, like professional, like business like. um it feels um it feels like, I don't think that it's a relationship, or it's a connection between the groups, that it lacks emotion. But definitely, I think that the respect that they have, is more from a professional point of view. Is more like, you know um I know that probably fans are like, these groups are not the same. Their level of success is not the same. People get very competitive about, the possibility of these two groups being associated. Um, and I think that definitely it takes a toll on their potential connection. I think that there had always been somehow like a friendship, um, like good vibes. I think that probably now things are a bit, I don't want to say that they are ruined, but it feels like, since it's a group of a lot of people, there's different influences in here. I think that there's people that can be very close, and there's people that they are like, I actually have nothing to do with these other people. Like, if I see them, I would say hi, but it's not like we're friends. So there's people drawing like the line of like, no, they're really not that close. And there's others that they do have history. um but in here, it doesn't show me like an emotional connection, like, oh yeah, because we used to work together. No, it's more like, um like their life experiences had somehow brought them closer at some point in their careers. um and things are okay. I think that from BTS part, about Blackpink, um we have the Four of Pentacles, we have the Hangman, and we have the Justice in reverse. So see that for them, this is like a bigger meaning, and if there was some kind of issue, for them it feels like they have to contemplate everything. So there's some people that with the Four of Pentacles, there's this possessiveness, there's this stagnation, this very stubborn energy of like, yeah, we are friends or we hang out, and I don't want us to stop being friends or being associated. Like if I want to go and see them, or if we hang out, or if I'm seen with some member or some members, it's because we are cool. It's just that, I think that from BTS part with this major arcanas, definitely for them, probably the consequences are a bit more rigorous, are a bit tougher, are a bit more like, we have to think. We cannot be selfish, we cannot be just like, oh, this is a girl, and or two guys, and some members that they just have fun and they enjoy their time together, or they hang out and they take pictures together, and they have like a good relationship because they have a lot of similarities. I think that from BTS part, with the Handman and the Justice in reverse, there's a lot of rules that are getting in the way of this friendship. The people that have like friendships or have a kind of connection, and that they really, I think that the Four of Pentacles represents the more like mundane part of the guys, being like, if we really want to go and see them or just support them or show that we really like what they do, or we think that the girls are great, we want to do them anyways. I don't They don't want to be stopped just because some people think that, oh no, that's not correct because the girls this, the girls this. So but I think that at some point it ends up somehow, you know it's unfair. This is why we have the Justice in reverse and we have the Hangman. I think that the guys want to continue in time to be associated with the girl somehow. It's like, if I want to stop by at their event or their concert, I want to do it because I like them, and that's it, and that should be valid. But with the Handman and the Justice in reverse, there's something about maybe their career, their popularity, their influences, that somehow this weighs more. The part of them having to somehow refrain themselves from being seen with them or being associated with them. So somehow, with the Justice in reverse, it's like, it can seem almost like they're hiding to avoid something, to be associated with them. And no, it's because it's part of their job, or it's part of, I don't know if people are pushing it, or if there's certain fans, not certain fans, but certain, also maybe, I think that it's bigger than them. It could be certain higher ups, it could be some PR people, people that manage their image, and being like, no, it's better, like, if you want to go see them, you should do this when no one is watching, or you should avoid mentioning them, do not tag them on Instagram, do not talk about them, try to avoid it. And for them, I think that with the Four of Pentacles, there's this resistance of like, actually there's a friendship. I mean, I think that from BTS, it's like, actually there's a friendship. There's not with everyone, and not that fluently, and probably is more from a professional point of view. It's like, we have uh, they mirror each other in some aspects. So I think that this is why they feel like they are bound to be associated with each other, because they are similar in some aspects. Not the same, but they're similar. Maybe it's the level of popularity and exposure. But I think that from BTS part, it's more like there's a lot of laws, there's a lot of protocols, there's a lot of decision making, there's a lot of rules. The guys just cannot go and do whatever. The reality is this. And they are being, stopped, or somehow they are being like, there are certain meetings that they have, or certain, things that they do, that they are arranged, or they are put on hold, or they are managed by others. They cannot be that um, spontaneous, I would say. And if they are spontaneous, definitely there's consequences. So I think that in the case of BTS, it's like, yeah, we are friends, but, we are not allowed to say much. We are stuck in this. And with the justice in reverse, I think that they find, I can see the frustration even of like, why? Why I have to avoid mentioning this person? If this person is like a colleague of mine, if we are part of the same industry, we are not strangers of each other. It's not like we live in separate like, atmospheres, or in separate galaxies, that we are not aware of each other's existence. I think that they find it very unfair, the way they are being told to not, to avoid mentioning them. But I think that with the Four of Pentacles, this is more like the practical side of them being very stubborn, and maybe every once in a while you're going to hear, or you're going to see members being related to Blackpink, events, or seeing them hanging out, with one member or two, or being seen at parties together. Because I think that for them it's like, there's actually a kind of like stability. So there's a part of them that they refuse to act like, oh my god, this is the first time I'm seeing you, because it's not. um from Blackpink's perspective, we have the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Three of Pentacles, and we have the Five of Cups. So I think that for the girls, I think that for them, honestly, the girls are. Um, I think that they really. There's something about, maybe because Blackpink members are only four, so it's easier to see that they all kind of agree that they have a huge respect for BTS, and they have a huge admiration and respect also for the members. Also, the Ace of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, there's something about collaborations. There's something about them, being colleagues, literally, and just like, the girls are very open to the idea of like, if we are doing well, and if we are doing well in numbers, and you guys are doing well in numbers, in the future we should collaborate. Like the girls are very like open, um financially, and like when it comes to practicing, it's like they would make it happen. There's something about the Blackpink members being more like, they all have the same opinion. They are like, it would be really cool if actually we could be in the same room and interact, and maybe just perform. And it would be actually very beneficial for us, and it would be very successful, and it would be very fancy, and people will go crazy, because not the fans, of course, not the fans that don't like them, but maybe the fans that do support them. This could be a reason for them to end the animosity, or the bad vibes, or just people being against this. They are like, we have a potential, actually, if we could actually be all together at some point, even taking a picture together. I think that it would break the internet. um, but then we have the Five of Cups. So I think that honestly, there's something about this, them at the end being like, yeah, from a professional kind of vibe is very intelligent and it would go well, and we are open to this. But with the Five of Cups, there's an emotional element in this, that maybe, there's one of them that is like, no, actually, that hope or that possibility is ruined. I don't think that we will be able to collaborate because, there's maybe there was a fallout, or there was like, a member, having a discussion with another member, and things are not okay. At the moment, they are not okay. So there's something about them being like, yeah, maybe, when things were okay, we could have done this. But now, I don't know. I think that now, maybe there's some drama, or there's something that happened, that some connections are not the same. But at the same time, it doesn't affect the others. There's something about the people that are okay with each other. They are like, well, I don't care if you have a difference with this person. It's like, the rest of us, we are okay, and we are still going to show up and just, maybe be supportive of each other, even if you have issues with a certain person and it gets awkward. But there's an spoiled opportunity in here with the Five of Cups. It's like, yeah, maybe, at some point we could have done this, but things are not that way right now. So I think that for them it's like, and maybe also, probably, people just, maybe being very negative online, and the girls knowing this, and they're like, this could actually be a good idea, but um I think that the people will not like it. So they feel a bit sad about it. They're like, wow, this is so, like, honestly, and this is what I want to say, with the Ace of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, from the girl's perspective, there's not like, oh, we need to collaborate with a group like them, or we need to make it happen. No, I think that they just do it because they they want to somehow, show that there's no need for, you know for the negativity of comparing one group with the other, or thinking that one cannot be next to the other because there's going to be drama. I think that for them it's like a very important possibility to end certain rumors or end certain narratives, and people just accepting that this could happen at some point, that they could actually collaborate at some point. From the girls' perspective, with the Ace of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, I think that the girls are going through a very abundant moment, where actually I don't think that they need to collaborate with other groups. But because it's BTS, there's something, and there's also like a history. They're like, this would be really successful. This would make us all shine. We could all, end some stupid disagreements. It's bigger. It's more about, let's collaborate literally. Let's collaborate to end the hate, or end, the negativity, or just let's put to aside, let's give the people the, you know the the let's show them with action, and with productivity, that we can actually be together, that we can collaborate, and show them in action, like you watching us, like, yeah, we are all together, and we are interacting, and it's all cool. So for the girls, it's like, this could have like this could be positive for maybe the entertainment, to see them, because I think that they wouldn't do this with other group. They are like, it has to be with them. But yeah, definitely something broke, that they are like, maybe right now is not the best moment. There's something in there that is blocking this possibility from the part of the girls. But I think that for the girls, they there's something about them being a bit much more liberated if they wanted to make this decision. If they wanted to make this happen, for example, if they have talks with BTS, and they're like, let's do this, let's spontaneously take a picture together, and let's just like, do something together, a collaboration right now. The girls are like, yes, Now let's do this, I'm up for it. But for BTS, it's tough, maybe because of the level of, like I said, the level of, they are much more than a group. They have a lot of influence, and also there's a lot of people behind them. This is why they have the major arcanas. It's not a simple decision. It's not like, oh, I will make a call, and you grab your phone and just record us and we will do this. No, their decision making is much more complex than than the girls. The girls feel much more like, um yeah, I want to say liberated, but it feels like they have more autonomy, more freedom to be like, yeah, I want to collaborate with this guy or this girl, and that's it. That I'm letting you know that I'm going to do this, and then you hear it on the news. um but yeah, with the kind of the judgment in the future, um honestly, I think that as time passes, maybe, the possibilities of them, actually collaborating or just, showing in public their appreciation for each other is going to get tougher and tougher with the card of the judgment and the cure of awakening. I think that the more time it passes, the more they realize that is a bit impossible for them to be associated with each other, because I think that in the right moment, maybe it was like a couple of years ago, not now. I think that now people are more like, um, people are more against this more than ever. There seems to be like, as time passes, people are more inflexible, and the level of judgment that they get or that they would get, for this is important, is big, is massive, I would say. So with the Six of Cups, it's like, yeah, it would have been a nice, but I think that, also with the Six of Cups, there's something about them playing with the option. So, I think that they will not give up like this. I think that both groups are rebellious in their own ways, and I think that one thing that you cannot, like, you know nobody can tell them, like, oh, you cannot be seated next to this person, or you cannot be seen hanging out with this person. I think that the past is also coming back. So maybe, there's going to be more rumors about, or if there are ships, the usual, people associating a member with another member, and just like, because with the judgment, the card of the judgment, I think that people are slowly waking up to the realization that actually these two groups are friends. They really are very close, and as time passes, they're going to get really close, and they probably are going to get more evidence, about, like, they really are, I don't want to say best friends, but they really are cool with each other. Even the members that you're like, really, that member is a fan of theirs, like, and vice versa. Yes, yes, because they interact like people, not like, performers. Like, oh yeah, I like your style. It's more like, they have real people's conversation, and they just vibe because of, the other person's personality, that very intimate and private personality that we don't know. So I think that, but these two groups will always have backlash, will always have backlash. I don't think that it's going to be easy for the public to really leave them alone, and accept that, actually they have a good relationship, that there's not drama. It's just that there's a lot of people here, there's different energies, so it's not like, oh, all of them get along and all of them are interested in being friends. But I think that there's a level of, like, at least from BTS part, is very mature, and it's also very daring. How they are like, if I want to go and hang out with one of them or with two of them, I'm going to do it. Like I am my own person. Like I don't care how many people I have to let them know that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to continue doing this. So this is why it's going to get, chaotic from time to time. People are going to judge all the time. Probably it's going to judge one part more than the other, one group more than the other, of course. I think that probably also the girls with the Five of Cups, probably there's something about people going after the girls and being like, because I see a lot of pentacles from their part. So there's something about some people, just being like, oh, the girls don't deserve their success and they don't deserve to be associated with BTS because, because they are not, like BTS. And I think that there's definitely, people that they really are against the girls being successful, and having the possibility of being friends or being associated to this other successful group, and there's a bit of envy, there's a bit of resentment, with the Six of Cups. There's things from the past, there's certain interactions from the past that people do not let go of this. So I think that it will always be challenging. But I think that what's obvious of this is that definitely there's history in here, there's a connection, there's good vibes, and they are going to be, they're going to rebel themselves as much as they can and as much as it's possible. And probably you're not going to see it, but maybe some people will have the news, or they will have a picture, or they will have, you know, information, and they will be like, oh yeah, because they saw them hanging out, or this person attended to, they went to this person's house, and there was an event, and they were seen, sitting next to each other. Yeah, because actually they have a great relationship. um but yeah, um I think that it will always be judged, it will always be transmuted into something that is always going to have like a connotation of negativity, especially probably towards the girls. And actually it's not like this, it's actually positive, it's actually positive. um and I think that sometimes, seeing from BTS part, seeing the hangman and the justice in reverse, there's something also about them, somehow refraining themselves from interacting with them, or just avoiding being seen that often, because this is their way of also not ruining the girls' careers or the girls' image, and people just not, going crazy or going, to be hateful towards them, sending hate. So I think that, but they do find it very, very, that is very unfair. There's a lot of injustices in here. There's a lot of lack of justice in this connection, because they're like, why can't we just, be seen together if there's nothing wrong with this? We support each other, we are artists, we support each other. But I think that people are very much against these groups being friends. I think that the tiny reflection or idea, because I think that evidence there is, that there's history, that there's like, there's I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a group chat, among them. But I think that people are so like, no, 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 they cannot be. And this slows down a lot of things. But the reality is that a friendship there is, a connection there is, and is okay, is fluent. It's just that they have to be careful, because it can really impact in their careers, because the criticism is always going to be there. So yeah, this is all I have, all I see for these two groups. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.